I know you have some things you want to get off your chest about the sky. Let it rip, Trysta. We are listening.
It's funny because I about a year ago, me and some partners formed a company called the Daily W Sports, and so anything to talk about women's sports specifically and give us a platform to highlight women's stories. And I told the gang on the group chat, I don't think I should collab on this one, guys. Like, I honestly think people are going to be very upset who follow the Daily W to see such a petty, such a fire and brimstone type of take, a scorched earth type of a take. I mean, this is just a team that has mismanaged the entirety of Angel Reese's time there. And the way that it went down from moment one was highly suspect to me. From her introductory press conference that was held in what looked like a middle school gym with about 17 chairs in there. And it felt like the thing was fraught from the moment that they selected her with the 7th overall pick and then gave up, which is now the number 2 pick in this draft, to do so and to get rid of her before that pick even conveys to Minnesota is just bananas to me. And I knew this was going to happen when she was suspended to end the season. And what makes it worse, though, to me, is that she never requested a trade. If she would have demanded out, hey, I don't want to be a part of this franchise anymore, get me up out of here, get what you can, and Atlanta steps in and makes the deal happen, then that actually makes a fair amount of sense to me. The fact that she was willing to ride it out and this team discarded a 2-time All-Star in the middle of her rookie deal, it just is just so Chicago Sky to me, guys, and honestly is heartbreaking for those who are fans of Chicago. But it's great for Angel. She gets to a better situation that's a bit more properly managed with guards that could actually deliver her the ball.
So, Trysta, it's funny because some people might ask, do you have a lighter? But I know you keep a flamethrower on your back, and you definitely unleashed it on this. I completely agree with everything you say. And you're talking about quote unquote takes. You're just telling the truth. You're describing how things are. The Sky have had repeated opportunities to grow a star, and every time they have ducked because they have proven they do not want the smoke and the responsibility, quite frankly, and would rather kick the proverbial can down the road and see what's next in the draft, next year or a year after that, than actually take a player. And remember, she got suspended for a half last year for conduct detrimental to the team because she spoke out about not wanting to do this same thing, I don't know, in year 3 after having been on losing teams in her first 2 seasons. She said she wanted better players to play with. That was basically the message. And instead of stepping up to that challenge, the Sky get rid of the star, and I do mean star of stars, well beyond the court, that they could have grown their organization around. What does that say about where this team is and maybe has always been?
It's poverty. It's poverty level stuff. I mean, not just from like a financial standpoint, but from a mindset standpoint. Angel Reese is probably, well, we'll just say this. Angel Reese is for sure a top 3 marketable player in the league right now, just in terms of everything that she does off the court. Culturally, you're talking about a cover of Vogue, you're talking about Met Gala, you're talking about her own signature shoe, you're talking about ratings, you're talking about ticket sales, you're talking about butts in the seats. You saw it immediately when she got traded to Atlanta. Ticket prices doubled. Season tickets, I think, will go through the roof. They'll probably play at State Farm for the entire season. She just moves the needle. So whatever you need to do to keep a star in a city like Chicago, you do that. And yet it feels like the GM, Jeff Pagliacco, wants to build around Courtney Vandersloot, who's coming off of an injury and is damn near my age. And it felt like this was something that made no sense because Angel just wants a team that has functioned well. She went to Maryland. You got Brenda Freese there, who's an absolute legend. And then you go to LSU, you win a title with Kim Mulkey. And so I think Angel's used to a level of excellence. And then she goes to a place and is like, well, this is not what I'm used to getting. I'm used to having players that are the same caliber or better than me. I'm used to having state-of-the-art, top-of-the-line practice facility and not having to share, as I said on my video, having to share a locker room with an 80-year-old going to her water aerobics class. This is just some stuff that doesn't make sense in professional sports. And it's something that, quite frankly, the Chicago Sky have been getting away with for many, many years. And I think that the thing that's the most damning is the trade to get Ariel Atkins, where you give up the number 3 overall pick to become Sonia Citron, who is so good last year, and now next year's draft pick that now the Washington Mystics have the ability to swap with you, which, let's be honest, the Chicago Sky team probably isn't going to be very good this year, and now that could end up as Juju Watkins, which for Ariel Atkins, she's a nice player, but not good enough for Sonia Citron and Juju Watkins to be the lion's share of that trade. So it just is very disappointing to like hit her on the wrist like she's a child for speaking out. And then what I think is also kind of BS is other media members, and they know who they are, to spin that and to distort that and manipulate that storyline like she's the problem, like there was a bad marriage to begin with. It wasn't a bad marriage. The Chicago Sky did wrong by Angel, and Angel did nothing improper along her career, and even said, I'm happy to stay throughout my entire rookie contract. I'm not going anywhere.
She told the truth. She got punished for telling the truth.
There was always a question of who was running the point after Courtney Vandersloot in every game after Courtney Vandersloot got hurt. That was very much part of the discussion. Trysta, you know that. They rotated players. They brought in a ton of free agents. They tried to do different things. Other players talked about how they weren't satisfied with how they were playing. Now they said they, like we. So there was responsibility taken. I think of Rachel Banham in this situation. But you know that this was a very tenuous situation for the team after she went down, and it didn't have to be this uncertain.
Yeah, I think in general, the roster construction, there were problems with that from the beginning. I think I love Camilla as well, but that was like a little bit of a rough fit. I'm not sure why you take both of those players in the draft. Maybe you see who hits and who doesn't, but that was always clunky. Like, you need a point guard. And listen, Angel's a great distributor. She's got amazing court vision. She's not who you want running your offense full time. And the Haley Van Lith pick was a head scratcher to me. She was getting DNPs at times throughout the season for good reason. Like, she just has to adapt to the game and wasn't able to adapt right away. And that's totally fine for a rookie, especially at her size. But you have to have someone in there to be able to set the stage. But you had Clea Copper there, and she ended up leaving. You had Courtney Williams there. You got rid of her as well. Like, it's not like they haven't had good guards. You know, Candace Parker at one point, not to say that she's a guard, I'm not really speaking about that point anymore, but just losing stars over and over and over again. Elena Deladon, you had her. I mean, stars come in to Chicago and stars go out, and that's the constant theme. And I think that's when you take a look in the mirror and say, wow, we keep fumbling the ball.
That is a constant. Meanwhile, on the other side, the men's game, if you will, front offices don't come in and go out. It happens very rarely, but now the Bulls have an opening after Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley were fired. Trysta, I'm so curious because I know you, like me, understand that this has been bad for a very long time. How overdue was this firing, and can the Bulls jump back up and do something that looks like a reasonable, NBA team that could be competent and competitive?
So I'm right now watching an amazing TV series called The Godfather of Harlem. And it reminds me of the same situation with Chicago. So stay with me. It's not all the murders for the 5 families that bring them down. It's tax evasion, right? Like the Lucky Lucianos of the world don't go down for all of the major crimes. They go down on a RICO charge because an accountant snitched. So it's the street preacher, Jaden Ivey, that's the final straw for the Chicago Bulls organization to do the thing that they already needed to do. And the only thing that I can think about in terms of why this is the case is just the foundation of what the Chicago Bulls organization wants to be, which is family-oriented. Everyone feels like a tight-knit group, sanctity of the locker room, and really, like, we're not firing people for that reason, because of that family orientation. But to make a move and get some guy that really, I don't think Chicago coveted in Jaden Ivey, that disrupted everything about the culture in such a a visceral way where everyone was uncomfortable, from the media to the players to the front office, and coming after a disenfranchised group while you're at it and doing it in such an unhinged way. I think that was the final straw. And, they made a decision that I think was not a basketball decision. But at the end of the day, it's the best thing for Chicago Bulls fans, because this has been coming, or at least we've all wanted it to be coming for a long time, just based on how bad the decisions have been made, where it's like you said, Layla, they're not zigging and they're not zagging.
Oh, you heard that. Yeah, that was how I felt. Was, you know the phrase, when one team zigs, another zags, but you're either signing players and you're close to contending, or you're stacking up assets, or you're Oklahoma City and you're both. But then they had no other plan, and I wonder how much throughout the league it was known that they were doing something that the league was not doing and trying to make it work.
Yeah, I think everybody that I've spoken to around the league in terms of decision makers would snicker at Chicago. Those who, talk about the NBA would snicker and make fun of and scratch their head at the decisions that were being made. Because if the goal is to build a roster that is competitive, to do something higher than, be able to be competitive on a night-to-night basis in January against the Milwaukee Bucks, then you have to have a plan. And it takes a specific, we just need to see what the vision is, right? Like, I can see teams that are not doing great in terms of wins and losses. For example, my Portland Trailblazers, we're a 500 team. But I at least understand the vision of how this team can get to a contending or competitive space. Whether it happens or not, we at least understand the logic. There was never any logic that made sense from the Bulls organization, because what the logic has been for so long is, well, we sell out our arena. We make a lot of money, and our fans are going to show up no matter what. And if that is the ethos, then that at least explains why the decisions do not go down the road of, ripping the Band-Aid off and quote unquote tanking, because that disrupts the flow of money in and fans being there. And I think that the pain of mediocrity has been not painful enough in order for the Bulls organization to make a different decision.